free-to-play shooter XDefiant by Ubisoft has recently been released. I therefore thought I'd share my first thoughts and impressions after playing the game for a day or two. The gameplay you're watching is me trying to rank up the TAC 50 sniper in the game. XDefiant has been said by some to have the potential to become a COD killer kind of a game, meaning pushing down Call of Duty from the throne when it comes to being a top casual kind of arcade shooter. Well, I can say already here in the beginning of the video with confidence that it's not going to happen. But XDefiant might become a complement for those of you that are still playing Modern Warfare 3 or Call of Duty overall, might start to feel a bit burnt out when it comes to Call of Duty, or you just want to enjoy an arcade shooter that doesn't have any skill-based matchmaking, at least not in its casual game modes. It has to be said though that the first initial days and matches in XDefiant has been quite sweaty from time to time, since the game is new and it's therefore quite a lot of people trying it out. So you might not feel a big difference initially if you come from a shooter such as Modern Warfare 3 that has skill-based matchmaking, and then into XDefiant that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. There will be skill-based matchmaking though, but that is in the ranked game modes. Kind of interesting since they have been marketing the whole game as a no SBMM game, but there you go. But I do believe that after a few weeks after launch now, when some of the hype created around this game has calmed down, if you will, then it will become a bit more of a relaxed experience when it comes to the matchmaking and the gameplay experience overall. So maybe then there will be a bit less of these pogo stick jumping players. I heard and read that the release itself was quite shaky when it comes to XDefiant, since a lot of people couldn't even get into matches and was stuck just looking at the starting menu before they eventually were able to join a match or two. Luckily for me, I wasn't able to play XDefiant until the day after release, so at least I didn't have to experience that. The first thing I wanted to check out when I started to play was if the performance had improved since the betas, meaning the playtests and the last playtest. But things hasn't changed much since the last beta, and I experienced quite some desync issues and getting killed, although I was getting around a corner on my end. I also got hit markers and noticed an inconsistency when it comes to gunfights, sometimes dying fast, although it took quite a few bullets to drop the opponent. And I'm not talking about getting headshots or getting shot in the head. I understand that that makes more damage, and it should. The performance issues right now is my biggest concern, since I was hoping that the netcode had improved more since the last playtest. So I really hope that they're able to fix these issues pretty fast, at least do some kind of hot fixes soon overall. Otherwise players will start to drop off just because of that. When it comes to graphics, the game isn't that innovative looking, but that's okay with me, since I'd rather get better performance than super top of the line graphics if I would have to choose one of the two. The audio when it comes to gun sounds aren't that amazing, and I've heard some guys complaining that they believe that their footsteps or their own footsteps are a bit too loud in the mix when running. I didn't really think so much about that at first, but after hours of playing I did get into situations where I all of a sudden had an enemy behind me and I didn't hear him at all. But I do hear myself when I run, and hopefully this is something they can look into, improve the sounds, but foremost also put them in balance when it comes to the actual mix. The movement in XDefiant has been described as clunky by some players, but I kind of like that the movement isn't so fast or too fast, since I believe that's the case when it comes to, for example, newer Call of Duty games such as Modern Warfare 3. However, the sliding feels a bit off or weird, and it feels as if you're almost getting punished when you're trying to slide in XDefiant, since there's a delay or small delay before you can actually use your gun again after sliding. Well, so for me, the movement is okay, since I do come from a background of playing older COD games and similar, but it would be nice to see some tweaking, especially when it comes to sliding. The gunplay is most of the time okay, but it suffers from what I've already mentioned when it comes to netcode or desync issues. I do like though that the time to kill is a bit longer in XDefiant, since that opens up for more gunfights and also a skill gap that I believe is healthy for the game in the long run. I know that some players are already complaining about snipers, for example, since the TTK is a bit higher compared to games such as Modern Warfare 3. But whatever you do, Ubisoft, please don't change the TTK, since it then lowers the skill gap between players. Instead of, if needed, add some more flinch to the snipers or make it so that you have to de-scope between shots when playing as a sniper. I don't mind that, foremost playing as a sniper in most FPS games. There are ways though to counter a sniper in the game. Using invisibility as one of the abilities is one thing. And I have to be honest and say I haven't seen many guys playing as snipers at all in the game during the first 2 days I've been playing. I have usually been the only one in my team when I got into a match. The next thing I've thought about is the abilities in the game. We talked earlier about XDefiant being a COD killer, which I don't believe it is. However, maybe it should be compared more to a hero shooter kind of game such as Overwatch, or looking back also in a comparison with Black Ops 4, how it played back in the days. Since the XDefiant characters has different kind of abilities that already starts to feel, again this is my opinion, a bit annoying from time to time, especially in certain game modes. One thing I would like them to take away ASAP from the game is the wall hack ability. I don't want abilities like that at all in an FPS game. And the other abilities could of course be discussed, but wall hack, well, that's a no-no for me. The progression system when it comes to unlocking attachments in the game needs a buff in my opinion, since I do believe it takes too long time to unlock a barrel or a scope as an example. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that you're also starting off with no attachments at all when you start to play the game, because it becomes a bit weird, if you will, or creates a bit of an unbalance almost when you have players that have played 30 hours already after 2 days being able to play with a fully upgraded weapon, and then there's players that just started to play the game and they're using a gun with absolutely no attachments at all. So please make it possible to grind the attachments a bit faster at least, since I believe that the camo system is okay. It can take time to unlock these camos, and that's perfectly fine for me, not a problem with that. And there's some nice but not over the top hard or stupid challenges when it comes to also unlocking a new weapon in the game, so that's okay. We will of course see more what happens down the line now, especially when the first season comes around, what they will add and things like that, in what pace they will add new things into the game. I hope they have a good roadmap for everything. But XDefiant is foremost a Call of Duty clone game with some hero shooter abilities, without SBMM in their casual game modes. And maybe that will be enough for some players in order to continue to play XDefiant. However, nowadays skill-based matchmaking isn't the only thing to blame when it comes to sweat experiences in arena or in casual shooters. It's a huge part of the community that does play like that in casual game modes. So skill-based matchmaking as one of the selling points when it comes to XDefiant isn't as interesting as you might think in the first place. It also feels as if there wasn't that much creativity put into the game when it comes to trying to give XDefiant its own identity. And the fact that Ubisoft is behind the game makes me at least hesitate a bit when it comes to putting more and more time into the game, considering how Ubisoft have been treating their own games and franchises before. Personally, I was hoping for more, especially when it comes to the actual performance of the game, considering how long time they've had to develop the game and the netcode issues that was brought into the daylight after they finished their playtests. Maybe this will improve over time, and I really hope so for the best of the game. With that said, I'm getting to the end of this video, so feel free to fill in your thoughts and impressions when it comes to XDefiant. Is it a game you enjoy, or is it a pass for you? Right now I'm hesitating. I'm a bit in between when it comes to putting more time into the game or not. Maybe I'll wait a week or so in order to see if the game improves any further. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon again in an upcoming video here on my channel. Cheers and later.